What's going on, world? Coming at you guys again. We got another quick video. Noone Wells. Let's talk about it. So, the reality situation is Noone Wells has passed away. Mysterious circumstances, situations. People are trying to figure out what happened, who was to blame, who was contributed, who was negligent, etc., etc. Now, what we've seen continuously is the individual named Officer Tatum, who's interviewed one of the kids, and it appears, and I can only interpret, that he is trying to safeguard and protect this kid and his character by supporting the ideology that he's innocent and the rest of the kids are innocent. And it is to my belief that if information comes out that showcases that the kids aren't innocent, that they're actually directly responsible for Nolan's death, this guy named Officer Tatum, he's fucking through. I'm talking about his channel is done. Anybody and everybody that has any type of communication or support with him, that guy's gonna be canceled. The unfortunate reality is from what the guy that was being interviewed by Officer Tatum was stating, that these were all kids. They were all under 21. They were all drinking alcohol, which is illegal. So I don't know where they got the alcohol from. I know the individual who was being interviewed from the Cajun Navy said something about nobody IDs out there. But the reality of the situation is nobody sells alcohol, on Horn Island. So, that within itself is ridiculous to even say, right? But if it's true, in fact, that these were all kids, everybody was drinking, having a good time, and Noone Wells died because of an accident or due to horseplay, or even if it was from an altercation that took place in which everybody was intoxicated, the necessity to try to cover this shit up is making it so much worse because, again, they're all kids, they're all intoxicated, and I've said this multiple times. I do not support the ideology that people are adults until their prefrontal cortex is fully developed, which is about 35 years of age. And the fact of the matter, if you're consuming alcohol, your ability to have rationale, make sound decisions, have wisdom or some type of maturity, that shit goes all out the window. So when we're actually looking at the situation for what it is, whether it was by accident or it was by some type of interaction that happened to where there was a fight and Noone Wells lost his life, it would still be unfortunate, but it wouldn't be this major issue. Because all of these other factors, we are imperfect people. That's just the reality of the situation. And, likely what would have happened for a situation like this, to where kids were drunk, they were out having a good time, argument ensued, one thing happened, and Noone Wells could have got, like I said before, picked up and slammed, and he could have died from it, right? He could have slammed on the back of the boat. The bilge pump is under the boat. And something like that could cause the bilge pump to malfunction alone, So that could have been the contributing factor which caused the boat to become inoperable or to start taking on water. It's not definitive, but it's a possibility. And, I keep saying this before, is a fight has the potential to be 100% deadly at all times, because a singular punch placed at the right location can knock you unconscious or kill you, depending on how much force, right? Or the fall when you hit the ground can kill you because of how much force. I made a post about an individual who used to be a boxer. His name was Pritchard Colon. He was I believe a Puerto Rican boxer who got punched a couple times in the back of his head. And now this guy is like a paraplegic or something like that. Again, it goes back to the Carmelo Anthony situation. When you guys talk about self-defense, when you guys talk about a fight, that I mean, it can turn deadly in a heartbeat, in the flash of a second, right? Especially when we just saw the situations where we saw a 70-year-old man get into a fight with a 17-year-old kid in the water. And now this guy's looking at attempted murder for attempted drowning. Again, this situation is very unfortunate. I don't think, there was maliciousness in this whole Noone Wells situation, because allegedly everybody knew each other. They had been knowing each other for years. But this necessity to try to cover it up and shroud it and keep it in mystery and, deny, defend, and depose it's very unfortunate, because we all know this is white America. If it did come out that somebody got into a fight with Noone and they were both drunk and Noone ended up dying from the fight, that would be super unfortunate, but it wouldn't be first degree. It wouldn't be second degree. It would be third degree. It would be manslaughter, and the reality of the situation, the kid that was responsible, if this is real, right, the guy would probably get probation or parole or something like that. Maybe restitution to the family or something like that. The guy's maybe 18, 19 years old. So after 5 years, you can get, the possibility for a pardon or expungement and keep pushing forward and moving forward. This whole situation is wrong 6 ways to Sunday. And again, I am not trying to make light of the situation, because someone lost his life. Noone Wells lost his life. But at the end of the day, when you start looking at all the contributing factors, if racism was not a issue with what happened to Noone Wells, and it really was an accident due to horseplay or through inebriation and maybe a fight, then this whole charade about he was here, he was with this person, we don't know, it's just making everything worse, because now you're looking at so much more to add to prosecution for tampering of evidence and moving a body and it's really becoming out of control, tampering with evidence and obstruction of justice, and if other adults are involved, it looks like an organized faction. We are so far into this now, and so many people have been involved. The reality of the situation is, if someone is directly responsible for what happened to Noone Wells, go get a lawyer. And have your lawyer have a conversation with the district attorney. Contact the attorney general. Contact whoever you need to contact, right? And say you want to walk in and confess, right? And secure what you need to secure. Because again, you guys are kids, man. You guys are 18, 19 years old. You don't know your ass from the hole in the ground, right? Don't allow this to continue moving forward, because what we are continuously seeing is, sooner or later, whatever happened to Noone Wells is going to be illustrated. It's going to be known. And when that happens, if it's not within the normal expectations of moral foundations and in correlation to maintain the integrity of the criminal justice system, it's gonna rip this country apart.